Hey there, happy Thursday. Thanks for joining me for another craft night with friends live here. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make cute embroidery kits for beginners, and I'm here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, and it's a time that we can relax and craft together. So tonight we are continuing on our Winter Love embroidery. Here's the finished one right there. So pretty, and we are almost, I think we're a little more than halfway through, actually quite a bit more than halfway through. We have 2 colors done, just about done, and we're going to start a new color today. So I'm excited. It'll be fun. We're going to stitch some text today as well, and that is the plan. So thanks again for joining me. All right, here we are. I'm going to shimmy you guys down here again. Okay. So, this is where we left off yesterday. We finished up all of our little blue lines around the outside, the phalanges of the crystals, whatever. We still haven't looked up the anatomy. I just think about it when I get on here, like what all the snowflake parts are called. I'm sure they all have names, like these little arms and stuff. But anyway, I'm going to start a new color today. It's the denim wash color, and that is for the text, and also these little satin stitch little dots right there. So I think we can easily finish that tonight. So we'll start with the text, and then we'll do some satin stitching. That'll be kind of fun. New stitch for the evening. All right, so I'm going to just grab my like 24 inches or so of this floss again. I always go like 18 to 24 inches. Boop. All right. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of tap on the ends a little bit just to separate the 6 strands from each other. And I'm going to pull out 3 strands because we are stitching with 3 strands. 3 of the 6 strands. So I'm going to pull them out one at a time. 2, 3. So stitching with less strands just makes our lines just a little thinner, and it's easier to pull through the fabric. Hello, hello everyone. See y'all popping in here tonight. Okay, let's do the pinch method again to thread our needle. So I'm just pinching it in my fingers like that. Hey Kayla. Actually, I don't think it's Kayla. Kylo, Hello, Riley. Oh my gosh. It's funny, like, all the names, like, blended together, or all the letters, and I can't split them apart. All right, I'm going to just pinch and then unpinch, and the moment I can see that little bit of floss there, I'm going to put my needle over the top, and that'll pull it through. Do I always use 3 strands with lettering? No, Kimberly's asking that. It just kind of depends. I'm just using 3 because that's what we've used for the rest of this, so I'm just staying consistent with that. I wouldn't really have to. If the type is really little, I would consider doing 2 strands. I mean, actually, really this, it wouldn't hurt to just do 2 strands for the type. You can do like a letter and see how you like it, and if it's just looking too chunky, then I would say use 2 strands. What 2 strands will give you is like thinner lines. So if the lines just look too thick for your liking, then for sure go ahead and reduce the thread to 2 strands. Even 1 strand would look really pretty, I think. I'm sticking with 3 here. So this is a slightly darker blue, but I think it'll just make it stand out a bit. Yeah, let me know how all y'all are doing tonight. I made embroidery kits all day today, so that was fun. I super duper enjoy doing that. It's just nice, just handwork type stuff. It's like crafting, basically. Get to just assemble and make stuff. Oh, Prism Starlight, I'm 51, did a lot of embroidery. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I love that it's come back like huge again, and it's been big for a while, but it's just so neat to see everyone's just creative stuff that they're doing online and sharing, and so much fun, like beautiful like art pieces people are doing with embroidery. It's just fun. All the fiber arts are just, there's some pretty cool stuff going on for sure. I kind of call embroidery, it's kind of like a coloring book, really. Like you just stitch on the lines, like how you'd stay in the lines for coloring. Oh, and cross stitch, love it. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, dang. Okay, Maria is saying some woman is doing shoes for $1,000. Oh, I think I've been watching that. I mean, for real. Oh gosh, what's her handle? Anyway, she's doing like flowers on like some black Converse, or I saw someone doing flowers on black Converse. They're gorgeous, and I mean, I'm not surprised that that's what they cost, because like, think about all the time going into that, and then plus you need to actually buy the actual shoes, and stitching through shoes is not easy. Like, that's like a thick canvas. Sometimes it's several layers of stuff, like stabilizers and interfacings and the canvas. I've stitched through jeans before, like several layers of jeans, and it is not fun. It's completely, horribly not fun. I mean, it's neat to see the design develop, but that is a lot of stress on the hands, and you need some special extra tools if your needle gets stuck. And it's just a ton of work. So, yeah, I can see why they'd be that much. For the right person, it's the right price, right? So, for the rest of us, we can stitch our own or just share it and appreciate it. Oh, you do it all. Oh, glitter rhinestones. Oh, dream catchers. Oh, I love dream catchers. We used to make a ton of those when we were younger. We meaning my brothers and me. My brother and my neighbors and us made all sorts of stuff when we were little. I've not done the glitter rhinestones, but I know what you're talking about. Oh, she said she's losing it. Oh, the person doing the Converse. I mean, I can imagine. It looks like she's super duper far though, so I'm guessing she's just about there. She's probably at that 80% done point where it's like, oh my god, I'm gonna die if I work on this anymore. That's usually where I get, like, once I get like 80% done with anything, even if it's just like an email, I'm just like, I can't do it anymore. And I just have to push through that extra 20%. I'm like, oh, I must be 80% done because my body is having tons of resistance to this task. It's always at like that 80% point. Oh, nice. So, Sewing Reno says, I've been busy cutting out fat quarters. Oh, and 25 meters. Oh, fat quarters of the wadding? Oh, interesting. I haven't seen fat quarters of that cut up before. What are you making out of all of them? Oh, she's just bored with it for now. Oh no, that's the 80%. The 80% done is like, okay, I'm bored with it now. Yep. It's like without fail, it's at that 80% point for me. All right, I think I'm going to do this O as like a little hexagon, like a tall hexagon. Dang, I got talking again, and oh my gosh, my text is almost done here. I haven't been paying attention, just stitching away. Oh, thanks, Poet Girl. Just stitching away, and text is like done already. Great. So this is actually it for the back stitch when this text is done. Just trying to figure out where to go next with this O. So I got the L left. So I'll have enough thread left probably to jump up and start the satin stitch circles. So we'll get that going right away here. Cruising through this today. I'm not quite sure if we'll finish today, but I think we'll get really close. And then tomorrow we'll for sure finish it. I was a little unsure if we'd finish it at the beginning of the week, but I'm pretty confident now that we'll finish it early on Friday. And then I wanted we talked about sewing it into like a Christmas tree topper. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to handle that yet, but I will know by tomorrow. Oh, thanks, Jay Rivera. What do you do with the finished pieces? Oh, with this particular piece, I think I'm going to make it into a Christmas tree topper. Let's see. This one is the blue, so I'm going to just travel behind some stitches to get down there. So I'm gonna find a piece of fabric for the back, and then I'll sew this, and maybe with a lining, I'm going to sew the front and back together, and it'll have a hole at the bottom, and I have like a little cone or a little piece of cardboard that I'm going to put that on, and then it should be able to slip over the top of a tree. So that's my theory. I'm going to plan that out a little bit more tomorrow, and we'll see how that goes. Other things that I've made, that I make a lot, are like zipper pouches and tote bags, and I keep wearing this shirt. This is my new house coat. So like patches like this, pillows, I use them in quilts. All right, so I'm starting this satin stitch. I think I'm going to just go in the direction of like, I don't know, like the middle will be the angle coming out. Like I could go like vertical or horizontal. You can really do a satin stitch in any direction. Ooh, yes, Prism Star, like masks with embroidery. Oh, I've seen a few of those on Instagram. Dang, they are just so beautiful. Oh, give it a go. It is such a fun craft to learn. I call it, I keep saying it's like coloring. You just follow the line with some stitches, and we have videos for lots of different stitches. If you do want to give it a try, we have a free pattern with like videos on how to learn like 14 different stitches. So if anyone wants to do that, it's over in the link. The Stitching Raccoon sampler, and we walk you through the whole thing. But yeah, once you get going, it's just like coloring. All right, so I'm going to do a satin stitch here. I keep dropping my needle, but I'm going to put in so a satin stitch is when I fill in this entire shape with stitches, which is a lot of what you see now for embroidery. So I'm going to put in some guide lines first. So here's my first one. I'm just going down the middle. I'm going at an angle. So the middle, like the middle like this, but I'm going at an angle. So I'm going to put, I think, 2 more, one on this side. I'm just trying to get like a few stitches that are all parallel to each other, and then I'm going to fill in the areas. I'm going from one side of my circle to the other side. Right there. Now I'm going to just fill in the spaces. probably didn't need to do those second ones. I do like putting one right down the middle because that's a good guide for me, but these other ones I probably could have figured it out without those. But they are helpful, those extra little guides. And I think we'll do like one more on the side here to kind of complete that side of the circle. Now I'm going to jump back over to this other side. I have a lot of floss left, but it's going to be quite a jump. So like I just have this one and this dot are with the dark blue yet, this denim wash color. So I think that's a little too far for me to jump with the floss that I have left. So I think I'm going to finish up this piece and start a new piece. A little fuzzle on there, but there we go. So there is our satin stitch where we just fill in the shape. I think that's looking pretty cute. Oh, your granny, Prisma Starlight is saying, my granny can embroider the back exactly like the front. Holy cow, that's amazing. Oh, of course, she's 103 now. Oh, wow, that's amazing. That is awesome. Holy cow. Yeah, that's gotta be, that'd be a fun experiment. Like, can we get the back to look exactly like the front? That'd be kind of cool. That'd be a great skill, especially if you're doing like a tea towel or something where the back is exposed. Oops, missed one. There we go. Okay, so that is the first little satin stitch. I think I need, oh, I have some more already. I was like, I think I'm gonna need to cut more floss, but we already have some cut. This is the second half of the 3 strands that we pulled earlier this evening. So let's thread those, doing that pinch method again. Boop. Oh, learned it in 1977 when I was 7. Ugh, that's awesome. I think embroidery is such a good like intro to crafting type craft too. Like it's compared to other crafts, it's pretty inexpensive to get going. I mean, you just need a needle, floss, and thread. And then just some lines and, you know, Google in a couple stitches, even just one stitch, like just a back stitch or something. You can do a ton with just one stitch. And then you're like making art right away, you know? So I think it's just such a good first craft, just to get that like thrill of like being able to make something with your own hands and stuff. I just love it. All right. Oh, Kev just bought this and you love it. Yay! Okay, that's awesome. So I'm sure it's getting in the mail here real soon here. Okay, so this is the second one. Wait, is that where yep, that's where I wove in. So we have this one and this one to do, and I'll do it like vertical now. I'm gonna just kind of aim towards the center. I'm just stretching out this on my hoop a little bit more because this doesn't feel super round, so I feel like I've kind of stretched it a little bit, but I think we're good. Do you believe that's proof of your craft? Oh, here, I think I missed some. Growing up, everyone always said, oh, your back had to look as good as the front, or you're phony. Okay, Julie, I have heard that too. So Julie says, growing up, she heard, or it was always said or something, that if the back doesn't look as good as the front, then, you know, basically you should be ashamed of yourself, right? That just kills me. Like, what? I mean, like, there isn't a better way to make someone hate something, right? Just to say, like, put all those parameters on like a right or a wrong way to do it, and like just stress out the whole thing that should just be like a fun, relaxing thing. I think don't worry about the back at all. I mean, I definitely have tips and tricks to keep it clean, and I have like reasons why I like it a little bit cleaner, but if you look around, sometimes on Instagram and stuff, some people who do like the most beautiful, thread painting, like, it'll be like a whole portrait of someone or whatever, and they'll show their back, and it is crazy messy. So, I mean, I don't think the back is an indicator of anything. The reason I try to keep a clean back, and I do that by basically weaving in my ends versus tying knots. Honestly, the literal only reason I'm doing that is because it's so annoying to me when I'm stitching. Like, if I'm stitching and there's a knot over here, and I accidentally catch like the thread, like let's say my finger's a knot, so I'll like catch on a knot that I didn't realize I caught on, and I'll stitch like 800 other stitches, and then not realize, like, oh my god, I've had this giant loop on the back. So to me, that's annoying. So to avoid that, I just basically weave in the ends, and that kind of takes care of that completely. But yeah. Oh, weaving in the ends. So I'll show you what I mean by that in 1 second here. I weave in the ends when I begin and the stitches. I do have a technique to do it before you have any stitches on. We've done it here a bunch of times. It's called an away knot. But whenever I get done with a piece of floss, so I'll show you once I finish this last satin stitch over here. And you know what, you guys? Actually, you know what? I'm going to do it now, and then I'll start fresh over there, just because this is a huge jump on the back. I also try and avoid like really big jumps, and then it's not so messy on the back. I mean, these are like big for me to have these jumps, but I just didn't want to like start and stop so much. But so here's what I mean by weaving in the end. So instead of like tying a knot here, I will just go back and forth behind some stitches. I'll go back and forth 3 times. That third time kind of locks it in. It's just basically like tying a long knot, like behind your stitches. So I'm just grabbing what I can. So that's the third one, and now I can snip really close to my stitches so I don't have a lot of little like threads hanging out all over. And that's super duper secure at that point. So that's me weaving in my ends instead of tying a knot. So that's how I don't have a single knot on the back of this piece. So nothing can get caught on anything. Like, it's just going to slide over whatever's here. So anyway, so that's how I weave in the ends when I'm done. And then when oh, thanks, Prism Starlight. So when I start, so I'm going to, let's see, boop, boop, boop. Okay, so this is the one that I'm gonna do now. So I'm gonna weave in to the backs of stitches that already exist that are near that dot. So I got some here, so I'm gonna weave 3 times again. So this is instead of tying a knot to start, I'm gonna weave in the ends to start as well. So 1, 2, again the third one kind of locks it in. Like if I pull on the second one, it'd probably pull this out, but when I do it with 3, I can pull on this and nothing's moving. And there, and then, so that's, instead of tying a knot, I wove in the ends here, and now I can start that stitch there. Oh yeah, you're gonna do this from now on. That's, yeah, I mean, again, it's not necessary, like, you can totally tie a knot. There's nothing wrong with that. But, like I said, the reason I don't, I think this helps keep the back a little bit cleaner, just because I'm not accidentally catching my thread on knots that are hanging out in the back all the time. Oh, okay, so Kimberly's saying needlework was Victorian women's education, in quotation marks. That was the reason for such adherence to the high standards, like the neat needlework. Okay, so neat needlework was like being an A student. Likewise, pockets on women's clothing were ornate and very special because they had so few clothes. Oh, I can't see the rest of the comment there. Here, hold on. Maybe I can. Oh, there we go. Oops. Pockets on women's clothing were ornate and, ooh, it jumped up. And very special because they had so few clothes. Oh, the pockets were where they could prove their skill. Oh, interesting. So there we go. If you wash... Oh, yep, Julie, this is my design. It's our embroidery of the month. If you wash and the string is too long, it will shrink. Like if I weave in the ends? I guess I'm not quite understanding. How many strands of thread? Valerie, I am using 3 strands. And what that means, if you guys don't know like how many strands, there's usually 6 strands. Like, here's my original embroidery floss. It's made up of 6 separate little threads that you can loosen really easily. Like, I just kind of bop it on the head there like that, and there you can see the little strands in there. So there's 6, and that's very typical for embroidery floss. 6-strand embroidery floss. That's what you get from like Joann's and all that. Is unless it's like tightly twisted, that's like pearl floss, and so typically it's if it's just the 6-strand embroidery floss, it's 6 strands. And they're meant to be able to be separated easily because in embroidery, you can choose how thick you want your stitches in one way by how many threads you use. And actually, oh yeah, I do have that nearby. Here's my little floss thickness guide I just have around for me. So like this is 6 strands, stitching with 6 strands, and this is stitching with 1 strand. I don't think I've even said yet. I'm stitching with 3 strands. So here's the 3 strands. It's kind of a nice medium here. So 6 strands is super fat. It's actually kind of hard to stitch through fabric a lot of times if you're using all 6. So a very common, I would say like 1 through 3 are probably the most common thing that people stitch with. I'm doing 3 right now. Oftentimes, if I have a little bit more of a detailed piece, then I will use like 2 strands. And if you're doing like super high-end detailed, like thread painting portraits and all that, then I know a lot of people do 1 strand here. Okay, thanks if you do a project with... Oh, yes, so that's one reason. So Valerie says, okay, thanks. If you do a project with even numbers, for example, for 2 strands, you can take 1 strand and fold it. Yes, and then you can start using the loop method too of starting. So how I wove in the ends to not have any knots, there's an even easier and faster way that uses like no excess floss, but it only works if you are using an even amount of thread. So it doesn't work because I'm using 3 threads. But with 2 threads, yes, if you take 1 strand and fold, like 1 longer strand and fold it in half, you can like hook that little loop. I've done it here before. I won't be able to do it tonight because I'm using 3 strands. But I'm sure I have a video on here for it called the loop method. And it's like magic. And I've been stitching a lot with just 2 strands lately for the like sole purpose that I can use the loop method of starting. So I love that. So yeah, I often use 2 strands just so I can do that lately. All right, dang you guys, that's it for this dark blue. I'm gonna weave in the ends here just to finish it up. So again, just back and forth. Oops, caught this a little. Back and forth 3 times. And I'm not just going back and forth. I'm trying to grab as many, like go through as many little strands each time. All right, we have quite a little bit of that left. Okay, next up, let's see. So I'm kind of thinking let's just continue with the satin stitches, just to kind of wrap that up. So the satin stitch is this fawn color, the other three little satin stitches. But we have all of these little French knots as well. We do have some French knots on these little things right here. Those are white, but these other like kind of floating French knots out here, those are the fawn color as well. So maybe I'll start with weaving in the end here, and then do French knots, then jump and do the satin stitch, and jump and do the other French knots, and just kind of go all the way around. So get both the French knots and the satin stitches as I go. I just realized that with that thin white material, you would have to keep it neat on the back. Well, it kind of depends. So Julie is wondering about, like, with this material, you'd actually see it on the back. It depends what you are gonna end up using it for. So like if I was stitching like a tea towel or something, then yeah, it would be completely visible. But in this case, I think I'm gonna make this into a tree topper. I don't quite know how yet. But there's gonna be a back on it. So you won't be able to see the stitches. And oftentimes, if I don't want the stitches exposed, like if I'm going to be, I don't know, like if it's going to be like on the inside of a pillow, let's say, a pillow that I want to take the pillowcase off every once in a while, I would probably get another piece of fabric and sew it to the back of this, just so there's that extra protection, so there's nothing rubbing against the backs to like pull on them at all. And if you're framing it in a hoop, like if I left it like this, framed in the hoop, I could always, again, put another piece of fabric down and then put both pieces of fabric in the hoop at the same time and finish off the back, or put some felt on the back. But yeah, so you can either leave it exposed. I do actually like seeing the backs sometimes. I think that's kind of cute, but you can definitely do some things to cover up the back when the piece is done. But yeah, that's tricky if you have like a tea towel that you're gonna want to try and have a pretty clean back. I suppose you could still sew some fabric to the back of it on a tea towel. Oh, you can't get your French knots, so you cheat and use some glass beads. Okay, maybe it's time to, like, we'll go through. We have some time yet tonight, so why don't we go through the 3 things you might be doing wrong with your French knots. I like going through this every once in a while. So let's see. I think I'm going to draw some little dots on here. Let's do that. Actually, let's just use I'm going to use the dots that we already have here, but I'm going to cut them out when we're done. So, all right, so let's go through the 3 things you might be doing wrong with your French knots, and then let me know if you're doing one or more of these 3 things. Just getting my 3 strands out first. So so now I'm splitting that 6 strands of embroidery floss. So I'm separating them one at a time. I'm kind of holding it in my finger there, and I'm giving it a little pull, and it'll all kind of release when you're done with it, and I just run my hand through it. So I have this 3 strands for later, and now I can put together these 3 strands again. Oh, I'm doing it, Shirley. I think that probably looks great with using just all the fawn color. Are you saying you did all of these with the fawn and these guys too? Yeah, these guys I think are the white again, but if you did it with the fawn, I'm sure that looks just fine. All right, so put those 3 strands back together. Just run my hand through there. Grab the needle. Okay. I'm going to weave in my ends, and actually I'm not. I'm going to just tie a knot on the end here, because I'm going to actually remove all these stitches, because they're going to look crazy. Because I'm going to show you the 3 things you might be doing wrong. So I'm just going to plop this in the front here. So here's where my French knots go. I'm going to just go here, and then maybe I'll jump over here. And right now I'm not doing... I'll show you how to do a French knot, and then I'll show you like the 3 things you might be doing wrong. Oh, Mitzi saying thank you for taking time to show how to do the French knots. This is always kind of like the scary thing, I feel like, with embroidery, or just like a tricky thing for people to get. And I think, it's like these 3 things. So we're gonna go through the 3 things. So I bet you anything, if you're having trouble with a French knot, you're doing 1 or all or 2 of these things. So let me show you how I do a French knot first, and then I'll walk you through the things you might be doing wrong, and then I'm gonna actually cut it all out, and then we'll do them for real. So all right, I'm gonna do a French knot here, and I'm gonna kind of tell you what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So I'm gonna come up on one side of the dot. I'm not coming up in the middle, I'm coming on one side of the dot. Then I'm gonna hold the thread with my left hand, I'm about 2 inches away. Then I'm gonna point the needle towards my hand. It's pointed away from the fabric. It's pointed towards my hand over here, my left hand. I'm gonna wrap it around twice. And then I'm gonna, with my finger here, I'm gonna hold those loops onto my needle. At that point, I'm going to point the needle towards the fabric. So this is the first time I'm pointing towards the fabric. And I'm going to go in the other side of that dot. And I'm only gonna go like halfway with my needle. And at that point, I'm gonna let go of the loops. I'm gonna pull the loops tight to the needle and the fabric. And then I always like putting not everyone does this, but I like doing it. I'm gonna put my thumb over those loops, and then I'm gonna pull my thread through slowly, holding those loops in place with my thumb. Okay, so that is a little French knot right there. So that's how I do my French knots. I'll do one more really quick here, and then we'll go through the 3 things you might be doing wrong. All right, so I'm coming up on one side. We'll go a little faster now. Holding it with my left hand, wrap around, point towards my left hand and wrap around twice. Hold those loops, point back towards the fabric, put the needle halfway through on the opposite side of the dot, and then I pull those loops tight to the fabric, and then I can hold those loops with my thumb and pull the fabric or the thread through the rest of the way. There we go. So 2 little perfect French knots. All right, so the 3 things you might be doing wrong. Here's the first one. And you might be doing every other thing right except for this. So I'm coming up on one side of the dot. So here's the first thing you might be doing wrong, is pointing your needle towards the fabric. So for a French knot, you point away from the fabric. So I point like towards my hand. If you point towards the fabric, I'm going to do everything else the same. So I'm pointing towards the fabric. I'm going in the opposite side of the dot. We're going to hold those loops tight and pull through. But look what we got here. We don't have a knot. We just have one straight little stitch. I don't know if you guys can see that. So here are my good French knots, and here's the one where I pointed the needle towards the fabric instead of away. You just get one little stitch. It's like a short little tiny stitch. So that's the first thing you might be doing wrong. Again, that's because I pointed the needle towards instead of away. You want to point your needle away from the fabric. And we'll do one again here. So actually I'm going to do another one right here. So to change that for the better, point away, not towards. So away from the fabric, you do your loops and go through the rest of the process. Okay, so that's the first thing you might be doing wrong. So the second thing, let's go over here. The second thing you might be doing wrong is coming up and down through the same exact hole. Oh, good, Julie, I'm happy this is helpful. So, all right, I'm going to do everything else right, but you can see I came up right in the middle of my dot there. So I'm going to point away, do my loops, and now I'm going to go in that exact same hole. Let's see if I can get this to work. So I'm going to go in that exact same hole, do everything else right. But if you go in the exact same hole, you risk popping your knot all the way through to the back. So it went right through my fabric here, and now I got this knot that I'm not going to be able to get out just on the back here. Oh, Valerie says, so far you do 1 and 2. That's the deal. I bet you it's always, it's these 3 things that'll get you. So that's the problem with, that's the second thing you guys might be doing wrong. So to alleviate that, instead of going exactly in the middle of the dot, I come up on like the lower right-hand side of the dot, and I do the rest of the French knot, and when I go back down, I go across the dot onto the other side of the dot. So I have a bunch of little fabric threads in between. So there's no way, unless I pull really hard and tear my fabric, there's no way that knot's gonna pop to the back. So that's how you can alleviate that. So that's, so cross over the dot instead of going right in the middle, and you'll avoid that second thing. Okay, so here's the third thing you might be doing wrong, is this. I'm going to do everything else right. Coming up on one side of the dot, I'm going to do my loops, and I'm going to exaggerate this, but I think you guys will get the idea. So now is usually the time that I would pull my loops tight, but if you are just like, if you just pull your thread through without pulling them tight, then you get like these crazy loopy doopy knots. And even if you let's say I still pulled them to the edge, pulled them to the fabric, but I didn't, let's say I let go now and I don't hold it down. Like I always hold it down. Not everyone does that, but I feel like if I don't hold it down, you can still get those loopies. Let's see. I'm going to just hit it a little just to exaggerate it, but I guess that one wasn't that bad. But you can see it's a little loose. If I look from the side, you do have it a little loopier. This one's like really, really loopy, but this one even, where I wasn't holding it down, I got, it's looking just a little loopy as well. So that might be the third thing, especially if you compare it to like some of my better knots here, you can tell that it's just like soft and loopy looking. So again, the way that I avoid that is by, first of all, pulling, like getting the needle halfway in and pulling those loops so the loops are against the fabric there. And then I actually hold it there with my thumb. Like you can see it from the side here. I hold those loops in place, and then I pull the thread through. It's a little extra step holding the loops. I know not everyone does that, but I feel like it gets it so that my loops aren't flying all over the place. So there we go. That's looking pretty good. But yeah, so those are the 3 things you may be doing wrong with your French knots. Uh, I was doing all three wrong until I kind of figured it out. So I'm like, oh dang, it's really those three things that do it. So again, the first wrong thing was going pointing the needle towards the fabric instead of away. Then you just get that little straight line, which isn't right. The second way was going in the exact same hole each time. Like where you came out and went back in the same hole, then you can pull that knot to the back, which sucks. And then the third thing is like not pulling your loops tight against the needle and holding it in place, and then you like can get these big loopy ones. Oh, Julie says I always had these huge soft loops. Now I know why. Yeah, so give it a try where you actually hold those loops in place while you pull the thread through. It makes a world of difference, I think. All right, let's, and Kimberly says, I'm thinking thread conditioner makes the floss a little stiffer and makes French knots easier to control. Oh yeah, that could be too. All right, so now that we've done that, I am going to snip this all away and we'll redo these little French knot fellas. And so we'll do those French knots and the satin stitch right there. So the satin stitch as well. Oops, there we go. Oh, I'm glad. I'm sorry, it wasn't explained as well. But I hope this helped. And this will be on YouTube. And whenever I do French knots, I talk about this usually, or I usually try and take time to talk about it. So I can always walk through it again. But yeah, I'll have it. It's on YouTube as well. All right, so I'm just snipping the backs of those because I'm going to get rid of them. And I'm just going to pull all these little stitches out. And we'll do our real ones. There, that was easy. Nope, we're good to go. More than happy to take time to walk through stuff. Okay, let's just go around. So all I have is all these French knots and the satin stitch, and then after that we just have these little French knots on the tips of these guys here. Oh, thanks, Julie. I appreciate that. All right, I'm going to weave in the end right here. Yeah, and definitely thanks you guys for asking questions and interacting and for the likes and shares and all that. I do appreciate that a ton. And 3. Oops. Oh, fun. Amy says she was making more penguin and fish stilettos for Christmas presents. Yay! Yes! I have a few of the sunflower ones left, and then I think I just have like one of the turquoise one, but those are fun. Oh man, I should make some of those for Christmas gifts too. Christmas is just starting. You know, it's funny, like I keep encouraging people to do Christmas early this year because who knows what the mail's going to be like and all that. And then I'm like, wait a sec, I haven't thought about Christmas presents yet. So I'm just starting to kind of mull about that in my head the past couple days. And yeah, I don't know, I should make some more of those stilettos as well, maybe. So with the French knots too, I always think it's nice to, like you can see like right now I'm setting it on a surface. This could be your lap, it could be anything, but it does, you know, I'm always, because I'm using 2 hands here, I set it down. I don't try and do it by holding the hoop and everything. So I am doing that step as well. If you're using an embroidery stand, you don't have to do that, but when you're just holding the hoop like I am, then yeah, I always set it down for that. All right, I'm gonna just jump right on over to this satin stitch. This is a pretty color. I like all the colors of this one. Oh, fun! Kathy says, I've been getting the animal kits to make into a quilt for my great-granddaughter. Oh, will I make more of those? More of the animal kits. So you mean like with the single animals? Short answer, yes. But I've been kind of doing them more in like the newer style where I'm putting more in, and they're a little bit bigger than just the one animal. We do have the whole alphabet of animals, though, Kathy, as printable or as PDF patterns and as iron-on patterns. So we do have just the iron-on paper for like 26 different animals, and some of those are the kits as well. We put some of those into the kits, but if you go into the shop and like just click on either kits or PDF patterns, and that'll actually get you to our navigation where we have iron-on patterns. I know this sounds confusing, or if you just type in iron-on patterns into the search bar, it'll get it to you, but then we have a whole pile of animals. And those are all the same as the kits that have the one animal in the middle, like the same style. Oh, see ya, Valerie. Thanks for popping on in. All right, I think we have enough left here for these other French knots here, which is great. And then I can weave in the end, and actually maybe we'll finish up with these French knots. Well, no, we got like 8 more minutes. I can probably do a few more. Hey, Char. Char should see she's popping in to say hello and see what's going on. We're not going to finish this today, but we're definitely going to finish this up tomorrow. We're so close to being done. So tomorrow is just going to be, we'll finish up the satin stitch and do a pile more French knots. We got all of them, the little white ones here. But yeah, I think we can do a little bit of prep for turning this into a tree topper, a Christmas tree topper. And I'll have to figure out how to do that yet tomorrow, and I'll have some extra supplies here to do that. Gosh, I have a little bit left. I think I'm gonna just go into the backs of these stitches. I'm not doing as big of a leap, so the stitches are being protected a little bit underneath other stitches. I think I have enough for these 3 French knots. French knots do kind of take up a ton of floss, but I have a little bit here yet, and they get more annoying to make when you have less floss, I think. When did you start this? Oh, Mary, I started on Monday. I need to go back to the beginning. Oh, when the kit comes. Yep, so I started on Monday, and this is in its own group, and we'll send an email out that will link to the playlist for it as well. So if you're getting our emails, it'll jump you right to the playlist. But yeah, just since Monday, so it's taken us. I mean, this is day 4, so we're in hour 4 of this, and man, I don't think it's going to take us that long tomorrow. So another half hour tops, I'm thinking. We'll see. Which is pretty good. I was not thinking we'd be this far when we started on Monday. I was a little worried about if we'd get it done on time on Friday. But we're getting it done, and we have a whole idea to turn it into a tree topper for like a little, or we have a little fake Christmas tree, so I'll have to break that out after Thanksgiving and put this on the tree top, or on the top of the tree. And then I was gonna make over Thanksgiving, or just whenever, a whole pile more of these tatted little snowflakes. I'm not done with this one either. I gotta tuck in the ends and starch it, but like just use the same design and use the same colors as this, and like this will be like the ornaments on the tree. So that's my plan for that. Kathy Jones is asking, what is next week? Next week's our open week, so that's the week that we leave without a plan, just to do what we want. And I'm going to continue to make this into a tree topper, so I don't think I will get that done all in one day. So we'll do that. And I don't know, maybe we'll make a few of these, or try and make at least one more of these ornaments. This tatted ornament, that could be kind of fun. Do some more of that next week. And next week is going to be a short one, too, I think, because Thanksgiving is next week. So I'll for sure be gone on Thursday. I got to look at the calendar, but I'll let you guys know. So I might be out for a couple days next week. But when I'm not, we can finish this as a tree topper, and then, yeah, maybe try and make another one of these ornaments. Or just finish this one, really. We could tuck in the ends and starch it and see how the rest of that process goes. That'd be kind of fun. But yeah, I think that just looks so cute. All right, you guys, I think we'll probably end it there. I have a piece of floss all ready to go for tomorrow, and I'm sure we probably won't really need more than this. We did 3 French knots and 1 satin stitch. We'll have 3 French knot sections and 2 satin stitches. I might not quite have enough. Oh, I will, because I cut out all those French knots because we did that French knot, the 3 things you might be doing with the French knot, doing wrong with the French knot. So yeah, this should be enough thread to finish up. And then all we have left is the little white dots. So that'll be it. Oh, Mitzi is saying the tatted snowflake, is there a how-to video? Yes, so we did this a couple of weeks ago. Gosh, I think we made a playlist for it. It's on my YouTube. We did it live here on TikTok as well, but those don't save. I might do a shorter how-to TikTok, but if you go to my YouTube, Penguin and Fish on YouTube, and you can link there from my profile here. If you go into all my live videos, I have a live video section, and scroll back, you'll see, I think we did it like, I don't know, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks. But we just did it in 2 sessions, so there's 2 videos of the tatting. So you can check out those. But we'll do it again. So if we're working on it next week, if you pop in next week, later in the week, or not later in the week, but like maybe Tuesday, we'll be doing it again. Oh, awesome. That's great. Thanks, Mitzi. All right, you guys. So I think we got a lot done tonight. Thank you guys again for joining. Here we go. Here's it up close again. Getting it done. I think that this fawn color just adds that little extra dimension to here. I'm really liking it. So, all right. So, yeah, just a few more French knots, some satin stitching tomorrow, and we'll be done with this guy. And I will, tomorrow, I'll also kind of like think through how we might make this into a tree topper and kind of see what supplies I have here in the house and see if we can do that too. Might get the sewing machine out tomorrow as well. We'll figure that out. But that'll be fun, I think. So awesome, you guys. Have a lovely evening, and I will see you tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Central Time again. Good night.